Hi there everyone, I'm here once again with Keith Moore, Head Librarian at the Royal Society, and here we have 3 personal items, all formerly belonging to very famous people from the Royal Society, and all of them are objects they would wear.
And not a white coat.
Now the first one, appropriately for Objectivity, is in a box, and this belonged to Lord Brouncker?
That's right. Yes.
Who was Lord Brouncker?
William Brouncker, Viscount Brouncker, was the first president of the Royal Society, so he's a big figure for us. Probably not as well known as many of his contemporaries, but he was a good mathematician and a decent general scientist.
He was a decent scientist, and actually I pulled up some papers that he wrote, and one of them in particular caught my eye, so I thought I'd very quickly show you that. We actually have here in this the original manuscript. Well, it's not the original manuscript, this is actually a copy of his...
It's a copy manuscript, yes.
Yeah, so it's an early version of it. Of the Recoiling of Guns. It's hard to believe, but of course there was a time when guns were quite new and physics had not advanced to the stage it has now, where they had no idea why when you fired a gun, there would be like a recoil, there'd be this push back, and they didn't know why that was even happening.
That's all right, and of course they're very interested in how they can correct weapons so they can be more accurate.
I hate to disappoint you all, but our president of the Royal Society, despite doing a lot of research which involved screwing the gun onto tables in different points and finding what way the tables moved, he did a lot of work on it, but he didn't ever get to the bottom of it.
No, but it's good working science, and you have to respect him for that.
He was doing good work, and he actually performed this demonstration for the king himself.
That's right, and he did publish it in the very first history of the Royal Society.
Here we go. Here's the posher, finished, published version there. Experiments of the Recoiling of Guns. You see a little diagram of his contraption. When we found the line that says that he had demonstrated this for the king, you were quite surprised.
I was quite surprised and excited because, of course, Charles II is famously a bit sceptical about science. He made fun of it rather. So here he is present when the Viscount is giving a demonstration of an experiment.
Well, maybe he didn't like the science, he just liked watching guns exploding and going
probably,
off.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, enough of that. Enough science, funnily enough. Let's have a look at the object in the box. What personal object belonging to Lord Brouncker is in the box?
If you had to pick an object of the first president of the Royal Society, what would you choose?
I think the main thing I would want to see would be like a shoe buckle.
That would be good.
Well, you're in luck.
Yeah.
Look at that. It is Lord Brounker's shoe buckle. Keith, what on earth is going on here?
It's one of the weirder commemorative objects we have in the Society's collection. It is legitimately a 17th century period shoe buckle. Whether it was actually Lord Brounker's, well, it's open to doubt. His name isn't on it. But why not? There's a nice kind of decorative bit of bling there. So not diamonds, of course, this is paste, but it's enough to make a sparkle on the end of your shoe. And I know, Brady, that you're very fond of decent shoes.
You've tempted me now.
I know. I shouldn't have.
Keith put me up to it. Look at that. That's what your shoe needs.
One could imagine that on the shoe of an aristocrat, surely.
Well, I could, but I'm not sure I could imagine it on Lord Brounker's shoe. There is a very famous portrait of him here in the foyer of the Royal Society, but we do not see his feet or shoes in that portrait.
Unfortunately not.
But after a bit of detective work by Keith, we have found a picture where we see his shoes. And funnily enough, it's in the very book we showed you earlier.
History of the Royal Society, where else? So this is a very, very famous image. It's this very imaginative frontispiece which takes in the key players in the intellectual life of the Royal Society. So Francis Bacon, the spiritual father of the organisation, Charles II, the patron, and the first president. There's Brouncker there.
Show us the shoes.
There they are, and they're tied.
I see no buckle. I mean, maybe he just wasn't wearing a buckle that day.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, of course, the artist took a few liberties here. So he got a lot of the objects right. So you can actually see a gun in here.
There's a gun.
Lots of scientific implements. You can see a telescope in the background. You can see Robert Boyle's air pump in there too. The Royal Society mace, which is here, is not accurate at all.
But that's the only picture we have of his feet and his shoes, and there's no buckle. Can't draw a lot of conclusions from it, but we did our best.
So from the bottom of the scientist to the top of the scientist.
Okay. This is something you may have seen before on periodic videos. We've made a video about it before, but this is the first time you've seen it on Objectivity. I'm really scared about handling this because
they're fine. So if you
I know how delicate these are.
Yeah, if you just pull them out, it should be fine. There we go.
Look at that. It is a pair of specs. If they fold open. Can I put them up near my nose?
You can put them up near your nose.
I have permission to do this. Whoa! There we go. This obviously is a little pair of fold-up spectacles for someone who has rather poor eyesight. Now,
so these were Joseph Priestley's spectacles. Priestley is one of the great chemists. His most famous discovery was oxygen, and he was a non-conforming minister. He was subject to some famous riots in Birmingham because he was a dissenter and a supporter of the French Revolution, and he ended up his life in America.
It says on the side here, there's a small engraving, Dr. Priestley, born 1733, died 1804.
Again, this is another donation to the Royal Society as a piece of memorabilia about a great scientist, so it's a commemoration.
Last but definitely not least, who are we going to talk about next?
We're going to talk about the still only female British Nobel Prize winner for science, Dorothy Hodgkin, a seminal figure for the Royal Society.
X-ray crystallography, super big deal.
Fantastic scientist, yep.
And this is something that belonged to her. Very few people get these. In fact, there are only 24 people at any point in time who is allowed to have one. What is the Order of Merit, Keith?
The Order of Merit is the highest civil award in Britain, and it's not awarded for any other reason but for merit. In other words, you have to be at the very top of your field, whether it's literature or art or science. You have to be a big player to get one of these.
Let's have a look.
What's in the box, Brady?
What's in the box? We know what's in the box. It's written on the front, but we all want to know what it's going to look like. That is something that is never going to actually be given to me, and probably not you either, Keith. No offence.
No offence taken. This is a very, very exclusive club indeed. It's a beautiful award, as you can see, and this would have been worn by Dorothy Hodgkin, so it's a very proud and personal piece of memorabilia of hers.
Why is it here at the Royal Society? Why is it not still in the Hodgkin family?
In a sense, it is still in the Hodgkin family because it was the Hodgkin family that allowed us to hold on to this, and therefore it's a very special commemoration of a very great family member.
So there you go. We've gone from a shoe buckle, Joseph Priestley's glasses, to an Order of Merit. Very awesome.
Crookes, being a bit of a waxed beard dandy, decided he'd make himself a little stick pin with a radiometer in, so that's even more fun, I think.
So that's a baby version of that.
That's right, and you just wear it in your tie or in your lapel.
You know I don't wear a tie, Keith. I think that's more your...
It is. I'm really disappointed that it didn't catch on, actually. I could go one of those.